I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. So now we begin reading in the Epistle to the Hebrews. Remember, we don't really know who wrote it, although there is the tradition that it was written by Paul. It is addressed to the Jews to convince them to come out of the law of Moses. Written from Rome while Paul and Peter are both there, as well as other early leaders of the church, but don't really know much about it, so we'll just start reading. In this video, we have a Joseph Smith translation. And what the Joseph Smith translation is, this is a translation or correction done by Joseph Smith to restore those passages that have been lost or corrupted over the years. Hebrews chapter 1. God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds, who, being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high, being made so much better than the angels, as he hath by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. For unto which of the angels said he at any time, Thou art my Son, this day have I begotten thee? And again, I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. And again, when he bringeth in the first begotten into the world, he saith, And let all the angels of God worship him. And of the angels he saith, Who maketh his angels spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire. But unto the Son he saith, Thy throne, O God, is for ever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom. Thou hast loved righteousness and hated iniquity. Therefore God, even thy God, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. And thou, Lord, in the beginning hast laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the works of thine hands. They shall perish, but thou remainest, and they all shall wax old as doth a garment. And as a vesture shalt thou fold them up, and they shall be changed, but thou art the same, and thy years shall not fail. But to which of the angels said he at any time, Sit on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool? Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation? There's a lot of quoting of the Old Testament in here. I saw a couple of quotes from Psalms. I think it quotes Zechariah and Isaiah a few times. This is a praise of Christ, and it is explaining his position in the hierarchies of heaven. You have the Father, the majesty on high, Christ, the Son, in the express image of the Father. He was anointed by the Father, and after he had purged our sins, after he had performed the atonement, he was raised by God and exalted to sit on the right hand of the majesty on high. Two different people here. The Father and the Son, again, very separate beings. The Father anointed the Son before the foundation of the world to be the Christ. He anointed him to be the second member of the Godhead. He received a priesthood calling as a spirit before he was born. And the rest of this is a comparison of him to the angels. The angels are all ministering servants. He makes the angels as the spirit and as flaming fire, but the Son he exalts above the angels. So the angels have power and glory, but the Son has a greater power and glory, for it is by the power of the Son that all things were made, that creation was made possible. And that last part there, are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation? The angels are there to minister to those who are exalted, minister to the gods. We read this again in section 132, where it talks about those who do not attain to their exaltation. They neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are ministering angels to those who are worthy of a greater glory. That's what he's talking about here. The angels are set to minister to the gods. Christ, with the Father, is the leader of the gods, and therefore he is above the angels. Now, on a final note, you'll see here at the beginning of chapter 1, the way this epistle opens. God at sundry times spoke to our fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son. Many in the Christian world take this to mean that because Christ came, that God no longer speaks to prophets. He spoke to prophets in the past, but because he spoke through his Son, there is no longer speaking through prophets. That's not what it means. It is simply stating that they have the privilege in the meridian of time to receive the gospel through the Son. In the past, all previous dispensations received the gospel through the prophets. But in the meridian of time, they were blessed to receive it through the Son, through Christ. It doesn't mean that there will never be any more prophets. There are many prophets after Christ. So even in the New Testament, there are many prophets after Christ. So it can't mean that prophets are done away with. It just means that that is the privilege of them at that time, was to hear it from the Son. A privilege that nobody else has ever, even our dispensation. Yes, Joseph Smith received it from Christ, but we receive it through the prophets. The people in the meridian of time, they had the privilege of seeing and interacting directly with Christ in his mortal ministry. And that's what it's talking about. Now, we read in the Joseph Smith translation, very briefly, there's only one in chapter 1. So first of all, it is verse 7. In the King James, it reads, And of the angels he saith, Who maketh his angels spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire. A little weird, a little awkward, confusing. We have the correction. Who maketh his ministers as a flame of fire, and of the angels he saith, Angels are ministering spirits. So once again, that's what an angel is not as glorified as a god. Gods are higher than the angels. The angels minister to the gods. I'm going to leave that here, and I'll see you in chapter 2.